So hello guys, what's up and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's me, your girl barrister Neze, and this is Nezeville. So as many of you are already aware, Osinachi's family, her mother, her elder sister, and her twin sister granted an interview to BBC Igbo. That interview was conducted in Igbo language, which is the native tongue of Osinachi and her family. In today's video, I'm going to be giving a very detailed interpretation of the account of Osinachi's elder sister and her twin sister as to Osinachi's ordeal, marriage, and death. I suffered when they wanted to do their wedding. I took her wedding gown all the way from Enugu State to Okpo. It was only by God's grace that I didn't get raped that night. That was the suffering I went through for this man. Carried the wedding dress. There was no network to connect to where I was going to. Heaven will bear me witness. Someone took me into her house. There I stayed until the following morning. Then I continued my trip to their wedding. After her first child, I went to Abuja for an official training. Osinachi called me that Peter wants to kill her and her children. But by then, I was already en route back to Enugu. I got back and narrated the whole thing to my mother. I went back to Abuja with my money, paid the transportation fare for myself and for Osinachi, brought her back to our house. We all stayed there together for over a year. Peter then came back. He came with two people, one Pastor Tony that used to work with Pastor Eneche, and another person to beg. Then my father was still alive. They settled everything, and that one passed. My sister remained in turmoil. She had her first baby. Peter refused my mother coming to take care of Osinachi and her baby. Gave birth to the second baby. Peter still refused. Everything due to my mother. Peter ensured my mother was denied of it. She gave birth to her third, and to her fourth, my mother was still not allowed to visit. 4 children my sister gave birth to, 3 boys and a girl. Peter hardened his heart and denied my mother her rights. I was right with my mother in the village on this day. My mother called Peter. My mother can never forget this incident. My mother called Peter. He refused to pick up the phone. When he eventually picked, he asked, "Who is this?" My mother responded, "It is Osinachi's mother." Peter asked, "Who is Osinachi's mother? Who is that? Who exactly is the meaning of Osinachi's mother? Did Osinachi fall from heaven down? This is a woman who brought Osinachi to the world." Peter didn't want to see Osinachi's family. Her mother, her sister, myself, all our siblings, even my brother who used to live in Abuja with them. The same thing. He didn't want to set eyes on any of us, anyone from Osinachi's family. I called my sister Osinachi and told her that I am not saying you and Peter should quarrel, but please stay on your own. Let him stay on his own. No fights, but just do this and see if his hot head will cool down a little. Oh, my sister was a woman of peace. Oh, Osinachi was too peace-loving. Instead of something to cause conflict between you and Osinachi, she would give it up for you and ask you to have it. Osinachi does not like trouble. She took after my father. That is the kind of life Osinachi lived and then died. And now, let us hear the account of Osinachi's twin sister, a sibling she shared the same womb and came to this earth with. It still feels like a dream to me. I have not come to terms with it. I am catching cold. My name is Amarachi Grace Eze. My twin is Osinachi Wachukwu. She is married to Peter Wachukwu. It was the Glorious Singers program we went for in Abuja when Peter saw Osi and started chasing her. It almost seemed like he was charged with the task of chasing and getting this person in order to destroy her. But what makes me happy is that he didn't destroy that thing that Osinachi had in her. She kept going with it. When Peter Wachukwu saw us, he took my number and started calling me because Osinachi refused to give her number out. Osinachi adamantly refused to marry Peter. Peter kept calling and begging me to beg and convince my sister to accept him. I told him that it is not within my power, that it is entirely up to Osinachi. I then told Osinachi, I don't understand this man, no. I don't understand him, but it's up to you. At a point, it seemed like the whole chase had come to an end. But before we knew it, he started again. What happened next, I didn't know. But all I could see was that him and Osinachi had started getting along. He was coming close to me then, calling me all the time, until he finally got what he wanted. He came in, felt like there was money, swiftly paid Osinachi's bride price, did the traditional wedding, did everything. Immediately after the wedding held, Peter suddenly didn't have my number again. I married before my twin sister. We had an agreement that we will be each other's maid of honor. She was my maid of honor. We both wore white together. But when it was my sister's turn, Peter refused me to be my twin sister's chief bridesmaid. He said he would rather get a stranger to take up the role rather than to have me play it. I never knew that such a tragedy will befall me. Me in this life, that I will not be by my sister's side on her wedding day. It was another person that stood in as her maid of honor. My husband was just consoling me. On the day Osinachi got married, a Saturday, I followed them to Peter's village. We didn't know if that's a church. It was in one small room that my sister wedded in. I was weeping throughout the wedding. My husband was just consoling me. I was crying. I just stood at a corner crying. My husband kept strengthening me. After everything, we left. And that was how the hell started. If I call my sister, she will not pick. Peter will not allow her to pick my call. When I was pregnant for my first child, Osinachi was also pregnant for hers. She took ill. He brought her to Redeemer's Hospital at Enugu, just here. That was where he brought Osinachi to. We know the hospital. Around 12 in the midnight was when Peter came and took my sister from the hospital. The hospital staff called me that they don't know what is wrong with this man, oh. That this man came in the midnight to take my sister. I was pregnant with my child. This thing pained me. Early in the morning, very early, I carried my pregnant self along with my brother Elijah. We got to the house of Prince Ukachukwu at Independence Layout. I asked Peter to come out. Come out! What is it? Does he want to kill Osinachi? Peter refused to come out. I hit the gate. Screamed for Peter to come out. He refused. The security men there started calming me down to leave Peter. That there is a way that man's life is. I should leave him, I should not worry. I said no. Let him come out. That I wouldn't let him kill my sister. He must come out and give me the reason why he did that. That was how I kept going until eventually I had to leave. When I got home, I started thinking there was nothing I could do at this point but to pray for my sister. Let God keep her. But all this while, if I call my sister, she would never pick. Peter wouldn't let her pick the phone. This was how it went on until Peter took her back to Abuja. And then she gave birth. I didn't know when my sister delivered. I was bearing it all. Peter told me that he must separate me from my sister, that he must divide us. He said this thing, I thought it was a joke, until we went for this convention in Abuja. When going, I called my sister and told her that I'm coming to your town. She said to me that I should first tell her husband. I called her husband. What this man told me. I was at the back of the bus, the Dunamis bus. I had no money. I called this man to tell him I'm coming. What Peter told me. Peter told me, you are on your own. You are not coming to my house. I told him no problem. Goosebumps filled my whole body. So I stayed at the convention. There was nobody I knew. I had no money. I was ill. I was down. Oh, Peter, you are wicked. I was running temperature. I wasn't well. I couldn't financially cater to myself then. I stayed there in church. For my sister to see me, her husband forbade her from doing it. I was at the back and then I saw my sister coming from afar. My sister didn't give me food to eat. Her husband didn't allow her to. There was nobody I knew. Nobody to give me food. Where I was staying was beside the toilet. I was cramped in one corner. My whole legs swelled up. It was one minister, Don Charles, that picked me up. After that one left, another one came. It was one minister that arranged for me to come, asked me to join them. When we arrived, they dropped me off at the church and went to their hotel rooms. There I was with my bag. That was the second convention I was attending. After the event closed at night, I was squatting there with my bags. Nobody to give me food. I didn't have money. I didn't tell my husband how broke I was. I just told him I wanted to come for convention and he allowed me. But God did something for me that day. God did something because he just wanted to glorify himself. My sister told me that she wanted us to sing together. Peter didn't know, because assuming Peter did, he would never have allowed that to happen. She and the person she sang the Ekweme song with came and encouraged me to be strong. I told them, yes, I am not afraid. I was ready that day. I told them I'm not scared. When they called upon us, it seemed at that point my sister started getting a little frightened, but she braced up and we sang together. While performing, she cried because she couldn't believe that we will ever sing together, because Peter had sworn that it is over his dead body for that to happen. I had to pick up the song and sang because all Osinachi could do was just cry. It was after the performance that she told me, sister, so we eventually sang this song together. I told her, it is well. It was Reverend Victor Mark that gave me money that day to feed. The next morning, my sister called me that I should come now so we could go to her place. The husband said no, that I should go straight to the bus station, Peace Park. My sister said she didn't really want Peace Park. She didn't really want that particular transportation company. Peter said that that is none of his business. Straight to Peace Park. Chai. I said, it is well. Nothing will happen to me. I called my husband and told him. And eventually I arrived my destination and gave God the thanks. I don't know where to start this story. But that was how God announced me. My sister and I singing together. Peter then swore that it will never ever happen again. After a while, time for convention came again. I put my name to sing. My sister and I agreed to perform together. We had already prepared, sewed uniform clothes. Oh, we never made use of those dresses. Peter Nwachukwu refused. When it got to that day, they had already announced that my sister and I will be performing. I was there waiting. I didn't see Osinachi. She then called me on the phone, sounding troubled, that she's coming, she's coming. I told her it's okay. I'm waiting for you. The next thing, Brother Shango came to me and said, Mama, hold yourself. Hold yourself, Mama. Hope you can sing alone. I told him yes. He said when Osinachi arrived church, Peter double-crossed her at the gate, flung her into the car and drove her away, then locked her up at home. Locked my sister up. My sister didn't come for that convention. I was only the one that sang that song. That was how I was bearing this whole thing. If I want to get angry, my sister will be begging me. We went to a program in Lagos, Unusual Praise. Peter gave strict instruction to the keyboardist that I and Osinachi must never sit or stay together. If you watch that program, you will see us separated. I was far in one corner. Osinachi was seated far in the other corner. He insisted that we must not have any contact. If I and my twin sister inch close to each other, the keyboardist will say, Mama shift, Mama shift. I don't want trouble. Everybody was terrified of him. Everybody was terrified of Peter. A beast. The keyboardist will say, Mama shift, shift. I looked at my sister. She looked down. From her dressing to everything, she was obviously going through a lot. That one passed and we kept enduring. If my sister comes to our city in Enugu, he wouldn't allow her come to our house. When she arrives, she will call me and pour out her heart. She will say Peter is maltreating her a lot. There was one she told me that Peter used a mopping stick to beat her mercilessly. He flogged her with a mop. He would take my sister and be beating her. If Osinachi comes home, he will be hiding her. Or is it the one that Osinachi told me that Peter did when she had her fourth child? Peter threw her out with her newborn baby. It was her small son that smuggled a piece of clothes through the window for her to cover the baby as the cold was blistering. Her son sneaked a wrapper out of the window for Osinachi to cover her newborn baby. She sat outside, shivering in the cold. Osinachi does not open her mouth to tell me, because she knows that I would tell my mother, and my mother wouldn't be able to bear it. Peter said my family is nothing, that he will deal mercilessly with Osinachi, and nobody can say anything. Osinachi kept taking it. He will go around insulting people everywhere, and Osinachi will be going around begging them and apologizing on his behalf. Before Osinachi goes for any program, the money must first be paid into Peter's account. This one she narrated to me. She performed and was paid 40,000 naira. Peter took the money from her and called her a thief, a criminal. Peter does nothing. He is jobless, but he will be the one to dictate to Osinachi which program to go for and which one not to go for. Osinachi would have gone far if not Peter that was pressing her down. She would go for programs only if Peter approves. Before she gets there, the money has landed in Peter's account, while she goes around in penury begging for money. When it gets hard for me and I ask my sister for a little raise, she too will be begging me for money. That was how my brother, the only son of my family, Chukwe Merie, he lives in the slums in Abuja, the trenches. Oh, what I saw. I saw where he lives. The only boy left in my family, inside gutter, ghetto, inside ghetto. Nobody is helping him. This thing I'm saying now, my mother does not know of it. This boy is living in the gutter in Abuja, the same city where Osinachi lives. This boy living in this condition was the one that cooked for Osinachi and took to her. She was so excited to eat from him. She kept complimenting the food, that the food is delicious. On this particular day, it was my husband by himself that decided that I should go and see my sister. He paid for my flight that night. The next morning, I left. That day I stepped into Abuja, Peter started yelling at me that I dared come to his house without telling him. I told him I am sorry, that I didn't plan coming. I was begging him. If Peter will say the truth, this was exactly how I was begging him. I was begging. I said, Peter, forgive. If there is any way you have me wronged, forgive. Peter, have mercy. Peter, forgive. He raised his voice, ranting that shame my family thinks they can kill him. My family thinks that they can put him under our armpits. We don't know that he's a strong man. I called him my father. That was what I called him. Nnam, my father, please forgive. Please, don't be upset. Don't be angry. Please forgive. I was begging. After all the sweet name calling, all the ego massaging, all the begging, Peter didn't budge. That was when I called him Peter! Oga! He then asked us to get out, that he's expecting Prince, a visitor, and he wouldn't want the visitor to see us. I told him I didn't come for the visitor. I came for my sister. That if the visitor comes, I would leave. He said no, that he doesn't want the visitor to set eyes on us. My sister started begging him that why is he sending us away? That Prince is not here yet. That we would leave immediately Prince arrives. He started shouting at her horribly. That is she the one who would tell him what to do? So that when he gives an instruction, she dares challenge it. She started begging that they are sorry. This man hardened his heart that we should leave his house. I told him, How can I leave? I am coming all the way from Enugu, a far away city. What have I done to you, Peter? How have I offended you? At this point, I had it up to my neck. He said that he has spoken and his words are final. Osinachi then came to me, begged me that I should leave. I cried. Osinachi went to Peter. Osinachi cried. Osinachi is not a troublesome person. She took after my father's nature. I am even the more troublesome one. But if you hurt Osinachi, the max she can do is to start crying. But Osinachi held Peter. She held him on the clothes like this, crying, "Oh, Peter, Peter, you have shattered my heart. Peter, you have broken my heart to pieces." She clenched her jaw in pain. Peter, Peter, you have destroyed my heart. Peter, you have broken me to shreds. Oh. Guys, I usually do not like getting emotional while reporting, but if I must confess, translating this story brought actual tears in my eyes. I couldn't help myself. How can anybody hate his own wife as much as this? This story is unbelievable. At this point, we'll bring this video to an end. I'll be bringing us more updates as they unfold. It's me, your girl, Barrister Neze, and this is Nezeville. I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye. Don't chance.